Hello, and welcome to Direct Approach with Wayne Moorehead, an exclusive podcast by Direct Selling News, where host Wayne Moorehead interviews the channel's leading corporate executives to provide timely insights and relevant takeaways to help you grow and evolve your businesses. In today's episode, Wayne is joined by direct selling veteran, philanthropist, entrepreneur, bestselling author, and leadership trainer Logan Stout, who is also founder and chairman of IDLife. Logan created IDLife in 2014 with the goal of providing customized nutrition and lifestyle products. The company was founded on the principle that no two people are alike, which means every person has unique nutritional needs. That led to developing a personalized approach to products that also includes support and guidance to ensure greater success and outcomes for customers. Before founding IDLife, Logan had tremendous success in the direct selling space, generating billions of dollars in revenue while also helping others build quality leadership skills. He has partnered with motivational speaker and New York Times bestselling author John C. Maxwell to bring leadership and personal development training to all 196 nations in the world. And he has written 2 books of his own, the latest being Grit Factor, 15 Attributes to Doing Life Better. Today on Direct Approach, Logan and Wayne talk about the importance of personalization in direct selling, not only in terms of personalizing products, but in providing personalized, hands-on care for customers and distributors. Logan also shares how their focus on culture and applying a personalized philosophy to their employees and work environment has resulted in high staff retention rates. Logan shares how designing our lives with intention matters and discussing how creating the right culture will attract the right people. And they'll also look at the importance of providing value to people before they become customers, and while vulnerability is the key to connectivity. We want to thank this episode's sponsor and DSN premier supplier sponsor, Exego. In an industry that demands adaptability, Exego delivers unrivaled access to the data that drives your business, from CRM to transactions to commissions. Flexible, scalable, and powerful. With Exego, the possibilities are unlimited. Learn more at exego.com. That's EXIGO.com. And if you haven't checked out our free resource, the DSN VIP community, we invite you to do so. The VIP text community is a new way for direct selling executives to keep up with what's happening in the channel in real time through the convenience of text. Text the word JOIN to 214-239-3043 and follow the prompts to add DSN as a contact in your phone. Then simply tell us what types of news and stories you want to receive, and DSN will create a custom newsfeed just for you. It's the best way to make sure you never miss out on what's happening in the channel again. Simply text 214-239-3043 and join the community today. And now, please help me welcome your host, Wayne Moorehead, and today's guest, Logan Stout, founder and chairman of IDLife.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. As always, I'm your host, Wayne Moorehead, and I am very excited to join today by a true Renaissance man. He is an entrepreneur, he's a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, a leadership trainer and mentor, former professional athlete, and currently founder and chairman of IDLife, Mr. Logan Stout. Logan, thank you so much for being here.
Wayne, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. It was great to see you last week at DSU. It was an awesome event, really packed house. Curious if there was any kind of highlights or standouts for you there at the event.
There's a lot of them. I think for me, I just love connecting with everybody in person. You know, we've been communicating via screens like we're doing now, but it was great to be in person with everybody. And just, you know, I think you can't escape your own perspectivities. Anytime you can hear other people's views on things and perspective on things, I think it's always great to take the meat and potatoes and spit out the bones and see how you can grow as a person, grow as a leader, and obviously help grow whatever it is you've been entrusted with. And so there was so much I absolutely just enjoyed about it. It was such an honor to be in the room, and the CEO forum obviously was phenomenal, and then everything. All the speakers were great. The content was great. The dinner was great. And so, yeah, thank you all for hosting an amazing event.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Stuart and Shelley at DSN did an incredible job there. I share the exact same feelings after a couple-year break of not being in person. It was really great to see so many people. It felt like family in a lot of ways. It's always a great event where there's so many new companies, so many new leaders, and then also so many of the legends. so many of the greats all in one room. One of the big takeaways for me, it seemed like a few years ago, 5 years ago, as a channel, we were kind of asking ourselves the question, do we need to change? A couple of years ago was, how do we need to change? And then it was just amazing to see the evolution that's taken place. So much of the growth that the companies are achieving and accomplishing right now. And it's just changing in a lot of really cool ways. And as Jeff Olson always says, as everything changes, everything kind of stays the same as well. The fundamentals are all there. I know that you're a big supporter of the fundamentals, but really great seeing you there. And great seeing you a few days later here on the podcast.
Well, it's great to be on. And I echo all your sentiments there. It's funny. We've been coming to those events for so many years now. And every time I go, I leave. We always reconvene as an executive team back at the office. And what were your big takeaways? And the big takeaways are exactly what you said. Well, everything's still the same, but I think the biggest takeaway is just really understanding the professional aspect of what we do and how we change people's lives. I just think it's easy when you're in the middle of it to forget how you're impacting people's lives. And the example I would give is, I deal with a lot of professional athletes, and I have to remind them that they're an entertainer, right? People are paying to come watch them. And when you're a competitive athlete, and especially at the top of your game and an all-star, whatever it may be, these guys, they get so caught in a competition mode. I'm like, don't forget the little 7-year-old boy there that wants an autograph. Remember, you were that 7-year-old, don't forget the lives you can impact because of the platform that you have. And for me, I always just get fueled when I'm around our industry, because it just reminds me of the lives that we can impact if we just stay focused on doing that. Because it's easy to get caught up in, marketing strategies, P&L statements, whatever new product launch you got going on, or whatever it is, right? It's easy to the next national conference you're hosting, and when it comes down to it, it's all about people. And when you treat people right, you do right by people, everything else finds a way to work its way out.
Yeah, I love that you said that. The lives that we impact, the lives that we change, that is the promise of direct selling that's been the same really for more than 100 years. And you're right, we do get caught up and talk about all the different changes, social, cultural, generational, but yet at the core, that promise of changing people's lives never really changes. So I love that. Thank you for the perspective. Yeah, so I look at all you've accomplished, and it's incredibly inspiring to me. It seems like somehow you've been able to cram a few different lives and about 7 different careers into 40-ish, 40 some years there, which is really impressive. So thank you again for that inspiration that you've given. It makes me wonder, like, what the heck am I doing with all my time? So, if you've accomplished all that.
I don't know if it's that or if I just get bored real quick. I don't know.
Either way, it's really impressive. And again, it's really helped create who you are today. And that's why I'm so glad to have you here. Another thing that's really unique about your background is you started in the field. You were an incredible field leader at a couple different direct selling companies. And tell us a little bit about the path that eventually led you into founding IDLife and transitioning from a field and sales role into a corporate role.
Yeah, I was a college baseball coach back in the day, DBU, and I got my phone rang. This is before cell phones. My phone rang, and it was my buddy from junior high and high school, and he kind of pitched me this concept of a health and wellness company. And I said, man, I'm not in sales. I'm not a sales guy. I'm a coach. That's what I enjoy, coaching people. And I remember I went to an event finally about a year later just so he'd leave me alone. I was very transparent with him. I said, man, I'll go to your event if you promise to never mention this thing again to me. He said, deal. And so I remember I went to the event, and it was nothing like I thought it would be. But it was everything that I needed, if that makes sense. And so through that, I got involved really just to, I went from being an athlete to being a coach. And usually that translates to a little more belly fat, right? So I wanted to lose some weight. I wanted to start feeling good again, got on some product, and then the rest took care of itself. That's what introduced me to the opportunity aspect of direct sales. And yeah, I was blessed to have life-changing success there. In fact, I would have never left the first company I was with if not for some integrity issues, quite frankly, and not to get into negative stuff. But I just believe it's important that if you don't really trust why you do something, you don't trust who you're doing it with, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And that's a big life lesson that that's carried me a long way, is the why, the who have to predicate the what. And I think the world gets it backwards. I think the world chases money and they kind of overlook the why or overlook the who as long as they're getting paid. I've just never seen people truly be successful that way. And I think success can be defined a lot of ways, but I don't believe success is simply monetary. I think a lot of people are doing life on accident versus intentionally designing their lives. And I really believe that a lot of people have something deep down in their heart and in their soul that they feel something's missing. I really believe that, as I've been hired to speak at national conferences and all this stuff. And afterwards, whenever I'm in line meeting people, and it's always like people resonate with that concept of, it feels like something's missing and I can't quite put my finger on it. And that's really what drives me. What drives me is to help answer that question for people and help them determine for their own lives what's missing. And so direct sales changed my life, helped me become the man I am today, the dad I am today, the husband I am today, the business leader I am today. I'm forever grateful for direct sales, and the success I've had in traditional business and everything else, I would honestly tell you, is a byproduct of what I've learned in direct sales. And so, yes, I went from the field, went to a different company. We were blessed to knock that out of the park. I was retired, and that's when I started writing my books. My first book's Fat Advice, and obviously Grit Factor, my most recent book. And John Maxwell, a dear friend, author, speaker, he and I were traveling the world with his nonprofit Equip, and really just trying to change the way people view life and change their outlook, right? Because I believe your outlook leads to your output. And the things that you do in life aren't going to change unless you change the way you think about those things, right? And so I was being interviewed on Fox Business News, or one of the news stations, I forget which one, because a couple of friends of mine endorsed my books. They're sharks on a show called Shark Tank, right? So Barbara Corcoran, Damon John. And I get off set, and Reader's Digest version is I go meet with Tom Ziglar, Zig Ziglar. We have the same publisher as Zig Ziglar, and Zig, his father, since passed away. But they said, man, we want you to meet, Tom refers to Zig as his dad, obviously, right? I want you to meet my dad's doctor. Well, that gentleman spent 18 years inventing the world's first ever personalized vitamin platform. They wanted my advice on how to take it to market. I was desperately missing the culture aspect of direct sales because I've been retired from it. And so, long story short, they asked me, they said, what would it take for you to be the CEO? I said, well, I'm not hireable. I'm not looking for a job, but I appreciate you thinking of me. And they said, well, we didn't ask if you were hireable. We asked, what would it take for you to be the CEO? And I said, that's a different question. What they didn't know is I was bored out of my mind. It was, when you go speak for a company, it's awesome, but it's over when you're done, right? And so I still obviously speak for companies, but I wanted to be a part of life changes, right? And that's what I love about direct selling. And so it was funny because I was golfing 6 days a week, wasn't getting any better. So clearly I wasn't going on tour. So I needed something to do. And I remember I woke up and I just realized this is not to speak negative about any other company. To me, this is a hard product to beat for direct sales. Personalized vitamins, right? Where you can't get it anywhere else. It's unique to you. And so we launched IDLife, started over 8 years ago. And that's how I got kind of back into this space is not that I ever left it. My heart was always in it. And companies hired me to come speak at their events, but owning a company is not something I ever thought I would do. But I can tell you it's been a blessing to be able to make a positive impact in people's lives. And but yeah, that's how I got back into it. So I started off in the field with a health and wellness company, then went to a service-based company. So I got to see the pros and cons of health and wellness and service, which is cool. They each have their own uniqueness about them. And then obviously launched IDLife. And so it's been a fun journey. I guess, I don't know, over 8 years now. I feel like I blink and we were starting it.
Yeah, you've had an incredible impact there, and the products have as well. And it does sound like you kind of missed that community aspect, being out, retired, I would, I'm sure, miss that aspect as well. And I think one of your superpowers has been that when other people zig, you zag. Like you always look for kind of that white space, the opportunity that's sitting there waiting that other people might not have seen. And you certainly did that with IDLife and personalization. And as you talked about the community and missing that maybe community and direct selling, that community is such a big differentiator. It's such a huge part of direct selling. But one of the things that's really cool where that zag comes in is IDLife is really focused on the individual. There's so much about, improving and getting better, day by day, which is something that I know that is really important to you from a personal development standpoint. But you've also been able to make it a community of individuals. How have you kind of taken that juxtaposition of community and individual and blended that together into a culture that really works, that supports and celebrates both?
That's a great question. I have my core values in life, right? I'm a man of faith. That runs my life. I have friends that don't have that as a core value in their life, right? And so they view things differently. And when I look at the greatest leader of all time, he made it very clear. He said, just love people, right? Love wins, right? And And so our philosophy at IDLife, and the reason I named the company IDLife, which stands for Individually Designed Life, is I believe everybody was put on this earth for a unique purpose. We all have a unique fingerprint to leave a one-of-a-kind imprint on this world, to leave this world better than we found it. A lot of people just need the right culture, the right environment to help bring out that greatness within them, right? Sometimes people just need someone to actually believe in them, that they are great, and to equip them to be great. And direct sales does that better than any industry I know of. And so we have a simple philosophy at IDLife, and that's no perfect people allowed. I always say, if you're perfect, you're too good for us. Okay, you're way too cool for us. And other than that, all are welcome at the table, And so I just believe that no one expects you to be perfect. They just want you to be authentic. And when you'll just be real, and sometimes that means being vulnerable. And I talk about this a lot. I know you and I've spoken about this. I believe that vulnerability is the connectivity to people you would never ordinarily meet in life, right? When you're vulnerable, that allows two hearts to come together on a common topic, a common cause. My wife and I don't like sharing the story, but it's our story. And I believe every mess can become a powerful message. My wife and I went through infertility for 10 years. We were told we could never have children. And, you may be saying, well, how's that a good thing? Well, that's what got us on this crash course test of real ingredients for real people to get real results. And the body is a real living, breathing thing. It needs real ingredients. And anything that's artificial is going to have a negative impact on the human body at some point in time. And we learned that through infertility specialists, and we thought we were healthy. And again, I'm not trying to be negative towards any company. This is just my own journey and my story. And through all that, we became educated in a deep, deep way on what we're putting in our body, on our body, and around our bodies. And it's amazing how God works. And that led to, this personalized vitamins, which is, organically and naturally derived. It's so interesting. And I could go on forever, and I don't want to bore the audience, but that's what led to IDLife. I would have never appreciated the personalized vitamin aspect if not for our mess. Then we went through 4 miscarriages, and then we were finally blessed to have children. I've got twins now. As we're doing this podcast, they're 9. In fact, there they are right over my shoulder right there. I love twins.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. And, my encouragement to everybody, and I love the Zig Ziglar quote, there is no such thing as a smooth mountain. If there were, how in the world would you climb it? And when I look at my life, I didn't learn during the wins in life. I learned during the struggles. It's the struggles that helped me become a better person, more compassionate, a better leader, and ultimately challenged me. And everybody listening to this, you've heard this a million times. Success and growth happens outside of our comfort zone. It doesn't happen inside our comfort zone. But when you step out of your comfort zone expands. And then the more you step out of your comfort zone, the more your comfort zone expands. And so suddenly your comfort zone gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which means you're able to do things that you never even imagined doing. I'm kind of scatter shooting, but I feel like there's people that'll be listening to this that may be going through some personal challenges in their life. My encouragement to you is your mess will become a powerful message. There's some people listening to this that are going through some challenges in their business life. Your mess will become a powerful message. And my advice is your culture is not your core values. Your culture is not your mission statement. Okay, we have mission statements. We have core values. That's not your culture. Your culture are the people, right? So the people you have, that makes up your culture. You can't fake that with a mission statement. You can stress it. Say, okay, all right, Logan, well, if our culture is a byproduct of our people, then what do? Well, listen, you attract who you are, not what you want. When you grow everything grows. When you grow your people, they grow, right? And then your culture will naturally attract the right people and repel the wrong people. That's just what it's going to do. And so what we all have to do is we have to challenge ourselves and say, okay, am I a living, breathing, walking billboard of what I want our company to represent in the marketplace? Right? If a company's struggling, it's a people problem. Everybody's looking for the right product or the next flashy thing or the next, you need processes, you need products, you need all that. There's no doubt. But you can take all horrible process, horrible products, but the right people, you can find a way to win. You look at sports, very rarely does the most talented team win. It's the locker room that has a common vision and a common mission that goes on and wins. And it's just, look, last night, a great example, I don't know if people watch basketball, but the Brooklyn Nets lost last night. The Brooklyn Nets, for this power team, favored to win the NBA title in 2022. Some of you may be listening to this in 2023, 2024. 2022, the Brooklyn Nets were favored to win by all the odds in Vegas, you name it. Brooklyn Nets, number 1. Number 2, favored to win the championship, the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James. They both went out and recruited power teams in the offseason. power teams, most talented players on paper. The Lakers didn't even make the playoffs, and Brooklyn got swept 4-0 in the first round. The two teams favored to win the championship. Favored. It's not the talent that wins. It's what you do with the talent that wins. And when you grow people, and I'm going to tell you this, Wayne, one of my biggest takeaways from DSU, indirectly, not directly, indirectly, is I didn't hear enough people emphasizing leadership and personal growth. I didn't hear that. And y'all know John Maxwell's one of my dear friends. Yeah, you hear him speak once, it's almost like the same thing over and over and over again. If you read all his books, and he's one of my dear friends, I've read every one of his books. You should read all his books. Sometimes the same message needs to be heard over and over and over and over, and because the message is true. And so I think it's easy to downplay a message we've already once heard. And so for us in our culture, I think it's extremely important that you don't stop saying the right things over and over and over again. You're going to get sick of hearing yourself say them. But you know what? It needs to be reminded over and over and over and over and over again. And so our culture is what has saved IDLife, honestly. Full disclosure, I mean, I've made some horrible business mistakes with IDLife, from chasing a new product, hiring the wrong person, not firing somebody when I should. I've made some big mistakes there. But the one thing we've never compromised is our culture. And our culture has carried us through the mistakes, and our culture has highlighted the right decisions. And that's a big piece of advice I'd give to everybody listening here.
I love that. And I want to circle back. You talked about the importance of people and putting them at the core of the business, that if you have the right people, you're able to, overcome almost any other obstacle, whether it's products, comp plan, strategic. I think that's really incredible. And I know that you've been a huge advocate of personal growth and personal development, not only for yourself, but for the field as well. And I do think that at times that can get lost, even though it's been so foundational in direct selling. You're right. Maybe we're not hearing about it as much as we used to and as much as we should. And that one of the greatest ways that we can grow our companies is to really grow our people. So getting back to that people focus that you said. And another really important thing that I heard you talk about was that mission and vision, that those people having a common mission, having a common vision, a common purpose is what creates that community out of the individuals. And I love that you're able to build people individually on an individual one-on-one basis, but also bring them together collectively as a community. I think that's something that you and IDLife have done really, really well. So as it relates to personalization, which really is at the heart of your company and at the culture, it's something that we've heard has been coming for a long time. It seems like it's taken a lot of brands a long time to get there. It seems like a lot of brands haven't really been able to deliver on that promise of personalization, of customization. What are some of the main challenges and hurdles that have really prevented more and more companies getting to that, defining level of personalization that IDLife has?
Well, yeah. And for those listening, so we actually use your genetics, your DNA. And we have a technology that we have the worldwide patents on that takes every third-party independent peer-reviewed clinical study, right? And every one of them, those that are obsolete. So it's a living, breathing technology. Those that are obsolete, it's replaced with the most current, latest study. It can be from Harvard. It can be forever, right? And then we use algorithms to literally get the person everything they need, nothing that they don't. Taking into effect their medications, again, their genetics, life factors, heredity, everything. And so the problem, right, is it's complicated. What makes it so great is also what makes it so difficult, because a confused customer doesn't buy and a confused rep doesn't sell. And so what makes direct selling work is it's got to be stupid simple. We call it second grade simple, right? Where anybody can do it and then they can regurgitate it. And that's what creates duplication, which creates momentum. And because there hasn't been a roadmap for us to kind of follow, right? We've had to kind of create this, right? Like, what's the onboarding process? All right, because once they get on personalized vitamins, I believe it's the greatest retention-based product company there is, our product there is, right? Because you have no competition, right? They can't get anywhere else. And so I think what's gone wrong for companies that have tried to get into this space, one, they just either didn't understand the mindset of a rep, right? Because I'm a rep at heart, right? They didn't understand what they go through on a daily basis and that daily grind to have the confidence and the belief to go sell. Because listen, when your belief goes up, your commitment goes up. when your belief goes down, your commitment goes down. And we all know to move a volunteer army, a sales force, they have to believe. They have to have the right outlook, because the right outlook leads to the right output. And when you talk about personalization, and we made this mistake in the beginning, if you get all sciencey, because the science is irrefutable, it's unbelievable, right?
Sure.
And so you get all sciencey. Well, listen, science validates, right? You've heard it said a million times: stories sell, right? Science tells. And so the science has to validate. So we've had to really get the doctors out of the way, and say, okay, get out of the marketing meeting, right? We got it, right? And simplify this. But I think where some companies have gone wrong in the traditional marketing world, not direct sales, is they've, for lack of a better way of putting it, they ruin their product to make it simple. So in other words, it's really not personalized. And that's where I think a lot of companies have made mistakes. It's really not DNA based. It's a questionnaire, right? That's just leading you to stuff they already have prepared for you. And so for us, Wayne, your personalized vitamins, we believe every human being deserves their own personalized vitamin line. In other words, you should not be buying a vitamin line from a company. You should be a part of creating your own vitamin line. And that's what IDLife does. Every person has their own unique vitamin line. And that's how it should be, because there's nobody else in the world like you, before you or after you, that has everything you going on in your life. And so, the personalization, the beauty of it is, I believe it's the future of health and wellness. The future of health and wellness is going to be truly personalized based on your genetics and all that encompasses, because what it does, it tells you not only what vitamins you need, but what kind of workouts you need.
That level of personalization that you and IDLife have been able to bring truly is incredible. And I think you're right. A lot of the other brands, outside of the channel, a lot of other brands that claim to have this promise of personalization, at the end of the day, it is a questionnaire. There's, 3 or 4, maybe several different configurations. There's not much personalizations. It's maybe slight tweaks or slight adjustments from, the person that could order it right after them or right before them. But with the science behind yours, with that algorithmically based decision engine, I think there's something like 2 million different potential variations within.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that now. Yeah, it was that in the beginning, and then we added genetics to it. And with genetics, it's unlimited. I mean, it's literally unlimited, the number of outcomes that you could get back. And so it's, if anybody hasn't taken the assessment or ID nutrition, just go to IDLife. It's free. We don't even charge for it. And that's one of the things we did different. We made it free. So we're going to give you free information about yourself, whether you buy anything from us or not. Right. And so our whole philosophy, I believe winning movements, they have this mindset. We want nothing from you. We want everything for you. And if we do enough for you, you're going to want to embrace us as a partner in your life. Right. If somebody's going to be a customer of ours, they're saying, I want to partner with you. Right. And when you're talking something as fragile as someone's health and wellness, I mean, you talk about something very personal. Right. If they're willing to trust us with their health and wellness goals, right, we believe our first step is to come alongside them and say, listen, you're unique. Your nutrition should be too. Your workouts should be too. Right. And your supplements should be too. So here, we're going to give you this free information. We're not going to charge you for it. And if you want to be a customer of ours, that's awesome. If not, hey, we've given you a bunch of free information. We hope we added value to your life. Thanks for coming on our website. And so that's really the heartbeat behind us. And I think it serves us well, because I think people know that. In fact, our assessment will literally block things. I've had friends of mine go, well, I really want this. I go, if it's blocking that means you shouldn't be taking it. And they go, well, I really want it. I go, if it's blocking it, that means it's counterproductive to something else going on in your life. Some prescription med that you're on, something with your hereditary disposition, some lifestyle factor. You should not be taking that. So we're not going to sell it to you. We won't let you buy it from us. And they look at me, they're like, so you're not going to take my money? Nope. It's not what's best for you. And then
that is really powerful.
Yeah. And then when they look at the science behind it, they see it, they go, oh my gosh, I had no idea having too much beta carotene in my diet combined with being around cigarette smoke or any other kind of smoke, right? My brother lives in Colorado. Any other kind of smoke, right? They didn't know that too much beta carotene in your diet combined with that increases your chances of lung cancer by over 60%. So though you want that beta carotene for better vision, whatever it is, you have lifestyle factors that could increase your chances of X, Y, and Z based on that combo. And so you have people buying vitamins, taking supplements, protein shakes, and they have no idea if they even need them, right? Let alone they have no idea if it's actually harming them. And I'm speaking with the audience right now, not at the audience. I was one of those people, when I was going through our due diligence, I went, oh my goodness. So you're telling me this is going to get me everything I need and nothing that I don't? They're like, yeah. And that's what blew my mind about it. And so that's when we acquired the asset.
You mentioned earlier the stickiness and the retention aspect of personalization. And I hadn't really thought of it that way, but absolutely, if the best vitamin or the best product that's specifically designed for me, I can only get it at one place, why would I leave to go somewhere else that's more generic, that is going to paint me with the same broad brush that it, paints thousands or, millions of its other customers? So I do think that's really incredible from a retention standpoint. Also, you mentioned something really important, really valuable, and that is providing value even before somebody buys from us. So it's not treating them great and trying to be helpful and provide value after the purchase to retain them, but really establishing that relationship of trust in front of the purchase and just providing value with no thought or expectation, for payment, or even if they're going to turn into a customer. And I think if we found more opportunities to do that, we would definitely build more and more trust. And so when somebody then has a need that we can then provide them, we've already given them value. We've already established a relationship. They know they can trust us. They know that our intentions are really for their benefit. I think that's an important business practice as well.
Yeah, well, especially if you want the right culture, right? You want a transactional, You want a transactional culture. Well, listen, if you're building a transactional culture, your top leaders will leave you just as fast as they joined you.
Yep.
Right. And that's what you see in direct sales. People skip, hop around because it's a money thing for them. You don't win championships with transaction-minded people. You win championships, right, with relationship-minded people that are truly there to be a part of something special, to be a part of something unique, to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And the companies that lose long-term, I'm going to emphasize that, the companies that lose long-term are the ones that emphasize transaction. They may grow like this, but they're going to crash just as fast as they grew. I would rather grow slow and be here as a legacy company than grow fast and be gone. And so it's the great question. Too many people ask, how fast can I go? The question should be, how far can I grow, right? How fast can I go versus how far can I go, right? And so
I love that.
Yeah, it's two different mindsets.
I also love that you have taken personalization, something that's core to the product, and you've made it core to the brand and core to the culture. It's a really important pillar for the entire company, and you've helped brought it to life in so many ways, internally and externally. Can you touch on a few of the ways that, whether it's employees, whether it's at the field, that you have allowed and encouraged personalization there at the company?
Man, that's a again, deep question. I think anytime you allow people to be authentically themselves, you invite personalization, right? And I've seen people come to IDLife where they couldn't truly be themselves. They had to act a certain way, dress a certain way, walk a certain way, talk a certain way. And they come to us and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm going to be accepted as I am. I go, yeah. If you're a turd, just be a turd. Don't pretend to not be a turd, right? We can't fix who you are, right? Let me rephrase that. We can't grow you until we know you, right? And so when we truly know you, and then you get to know yourself, because a lot of times what happens is people know us better than we know ourselves, right? Like that's why the blind spots, we have blind spots. And so when people have true self, my passion, and that's what my book Grit Factor is all about. If you can get self-aware, right? The whole world knows you already, right? They're just not telling you. If you become self-aware, then you can grow from there, right? Too many people, they're not self-aware. They're just going to, hey. And so for me, it's like, just come as you are. What are your insecurities? Let's get them on the table, right? What do you think your strengths are, right? And so when you can just go through these moments, it invites personalization. There's something refreshing about being part of something real. Take the money aside, take growth aside, all that away, P&L statements and all that, where people can just be who they are as they are. There's very few places in the world where that takes place.
I love that. I think it's something we've all been looking for. We've all spent time in those companies where we had to kind of conform or maybe cookie cutter and couldn't really bring, our true selves or our full selves into the mix there. And I do think if you give permission for people to really be themselves, they'll open up more, they'll share their great ideas more, they'll have a greater impact. And I know you've done so many things again, I think it's so cool from a dress code standpoint. Dress however you're comfortable, from how, flexible work to even how they design their own career path within the company. They're really allowed to take that personalized approach which I think is really powerful. And again, just reinforces your brand philosophy, those brand associations that are core to your company. And I think attracts probably some really great talent to IDLife.
Documentation beats conversation. I looked through this crazy world we've lived in the last 2+ years, 2.5, whatever it's been now. And to look at the fact that nobody's left. Our corporate team is all still here, from the one that was brand new to, and they've taken on roles that they were never even hired to do. And sometimes they've taken on 3, 4, 5 roles, right? And I just think there's something to be said about, I'll tell you this. I have an open door policy. I don't care if you're the janitor or who you are. If you have a great idea, bring it, and it's just as valuable as anybody else's. And to see what we've done with ideas from people that in most cultures, they've told us, man, with the place I used to work, I had all these ideas, but they never once asked for them. And so a piece of advice I'd give to the listener is, it may be your customer advocate, a customer service rep. It may be somebody in accounting. You don't know, but I guarantee you, every employee that you have has some value they can bring that you're not currently taking advantage of. I guarantee you. They just have to be comfortable enough to be able to be authentically themselves and know they're not going to get in trouble for some idea, whatever it may be. And if you'll do that, just watch how your retention of your employees skyrockets. Watch how your employees will attract other like-minded employees, right? Watch that happen. And then ultimately watch how that translate out into the marketplace, right? With your field reps, et cetera. And so we're very blessed. Our employees are unbelievable. They make me smile every time I'm around them. They're really, really cool.
What a cool approach. You mentioned right there customer service. And I know that is really important to you as a former field rep, the distributor and customer support components there. And you've really turned it into a differentiator there. I know I've spoken on the podcast a few times that I don't think that customer service, customer support, customer delight, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that it gets the attention that is really warranted. I do think that it's one of the most important touch points and interactions that someone can ever have. Can you talk a little bit about how you and IDLife have approached customer service differently and turned it into a true differentiator for your brand?
For the companies that want to win, you're going to realize your customers run your company. And so for us, we hire way, way overqualified people to be we call them customer advocates. And pretty much every customer advocate we hire, they come in that role with the understanding they're going to eventually, if they're trustworthy in that role, right? Because you can't say you want to serve people and then people are too good to serve, right? And so I can tell you in the beginning when we launched the company, I was in customer service. I sat in the office, an advocate, and I answered the phone as John. I think too many companies view their customer service as something they outsource, which is fine if you want to. And I think it's something let's find the cheapest labor possible to do it. And I think those companies got it absolutely backwards. And that would be the most blunt answer I can give you in regards to our view on customer service.
I think it's really cool that you bring in senior level people into those roles, people with higher qualifications. I think that sends a really strong message throughout the organization as well. I also love that you jumped on the headset. And I think that for us as executives, I think that is one of the greatest ways that we can stay connected to the customers and connected to the field. Oftentimes, we're in our bubble, sitting there running from meeting to meeting and conference room to conference room. It's so easy to lose touch with the customer, with the distributor, what's working and what's not. And just going down to customer service, putting on the headset, whether you're fielding calls or just listening, I think is a really important way to stay in touch. So I think that also really speaks to your leadership, your willingness to go do whatever it takes to satisfy and please a customer.
I have felt that anytime I've allowed my ego or my pride or even what's right, to get in the way, even though I was right, it led to a fail, right? It led to a fail. And I've learned that when you just love people and serve people, and I make mistakes. Listen, I'm not always great at it. I need to be better. But I found when you love and just serve people, it kind of diffuses everything. It really does. And you end up winning in the end. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but that would be my advice and encouragement there.
I think that relates to something else I've read that you've spoken about. With your field perspective, you understand probably better than anybody the us versus them, corporate versus the field, and the almost inherent tension that sometimes exists between both groups. And you've talked about the importance of really kind of breaking down those separations. How do you feel that we as corporate, again, with all the field experience you've had, what are some things we can do? How can we get better at working with the field and preventing an us versus them mentality or sentiment from creeping into the company?
That's a great, again, a loaded question we could talk on all day, but I've heard people say, well, we're not going to let the tail wag the dog, right? You've heard stuff like that. Listen to me, the tail is going to wag the dog. It just is. And so what you might want to do is just forget the whole tail and the dog concept and realize you're one team with one dream, and that's to go change the world. And so with all of our employees, my passion is I say, listen, our job is to make sure they win. That's your job. If our field's winning, the company wins. If the field's not winning, the company doesn't win. And so our passion, we have to get lost in the success of the field. It's not us, them, it's we. And so there's a few ways. Practical way is any significant decision we make, the field is going to come up with the decision in conjunction with the executive team, right? So that's the practical thing. The second thing is this, is I believe it's critically important that the company makes sure the outlook of the corporate staff and the field is aligned. Okay, it's got to be aligned. And I see too many people miss this. You can't fake your outlook. Okay, companies come to a screeching halt because the outlook's not good. And the example I would give is this: if there's somebody that you just don't like, right? That you listening to this right now, I want you to picture somebody you don't like. And I guarantee you something just popped right into your brain, or you're still thinking about it, right? Somebody you've been in a quarrel with, whatever. Well, the next time you see that person, you're not going to be going, man, I'm so happy to see you. That's not what you're thinking, right? What you're thinking, your outlook towards that person is not a positive outlook, right? Well, what happens in this industry, because it's a volunteer army, they don't have to show up to work in the field, is when their outlook is not positive, okay? Our job is to fix that instantly. Because if there's not a positive outlook, there's not going to be a whole lot of output. They're going to spend their time and energy doing something else. And I just think it's important that you have a systematic approach to growing your field's vision to be aligned with the corporate's vision. When you run a direct sales company, when you work for a direct sales company, you're not working for a direct sales company. You're not running a direct sales company. You don't own a direct sales company. You have those responsibilities. But what you have is the trust of the people that said, you know what? I'm going to volunteer my time to represent what your company represents. They're giving you the gift of their time. They're giving you the gift of their relationships and their network. And you got to embrace that. You have to embrace that. Because if you don't embrace that, you don't truly feel that way, they're going to know that. And then don't be surprised when they're gone one day. Don't be surprised. Unless you've been in the field at an extensive level, you'll never truly appreciate or understand what they do. And so I always tell people, I don't expect you to get what they do, but you are going to respect what they do. And the way you
that's great.
And the way you show that respect is you serve them and you love them, period. And so one thing we do, as an example, go back to personalization, is we have personalized hours. So we have corporate teams that work in the evenings, right? So, listen, some 25-year-olds, they don't want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to be at the office, right? And so, but they'll be happy to wake up at noon and work till midnight. And so I would encourage people to embrace that. I know for, older people and traditionalists, that's really weird. But you know what? For the world we're living in, as Jason Dorsey talks about, the Gen Zs, if you give them a flexible work schedule, they'll bring it. They'll bring huge value in hours when you're sleeping. And you know what? That's going to help you with time zones. That's going to help you with other countries. That's going to help you with all kind of stuff.
I love the idea you said, the really respecting the field. I think if that respect was there, I think it would help create greater and greater alignment to understand the role that each side plays, and just to open the line of communications and keep it going.
Hey,
Along those lines,
hold on. I want to interrupt just for a split second because this is critical. This is big. If those listening hear nothing that I've said, you need to share this statement with your corporate team. Okay. The biggest thing I see happen is the corporate team who are working their rear off, 9 to 5, 2 weeks vacation, or whatever it may be, for whatever their pay is. And they're seeing how much money these other people are making, right? They can see what these people are earning, right? It is very common for the corporate team, whether they express it or don't express it, it's very common for the corporate team to have major animosity. And I mean executives too. It's really, really important that you emphasize to your corporate staff that those people making all that money, they went out and they're eating what they kill. And you have that same option too. Okay. So there's no reason to have animosity towards people that are choosing that career path. And every company goes through this where people kind of get in management mode. In other words, they have it in cruise control. And that's when you see animosity rear its head, man. It's like, man, these people, all they do is whine and complain. They have entitlement. Well, guess what? Yeah, they're going to have entitlement because they're entitled to have entitlement because they're a volunteer army. And the worst thing you can do is talk about them being entitled because that means you're not doing something about it. You're whining about it. That's what you're doing. You're complaining about it. They're not going to be entitled if they feel like things are moving in the right direction. And listen, this is hard for us to hear on the corporate side. I've been on both sides.
Yeah, it is important because you're right. It can negatively impact the culture, not just at the company, but if we do feel that way, the field can sense it.
There's not a company immune from this, family. I'm just telling you.
No, absolutely. Any of us in corporate, especially in the leadership, should never really be caught. Even if you're thinking it, don't ever be caught saying it. Don't negatively impact the relationship between corporate and the field. That's such an important relationship. Again, without them, none of us even have businesses.
Bam, you hit it. Without them, you don't have a job. The field's the one out there bringing in the revenue. They're the ones that are doing what it takes so everything else can happen. And again, I'm not in the field. I don't have a downline. Okay, I'm speaking this, because I've been on both sides of it. I just think it's important that everybody understands that.
Yeah, technology has had a really huge impact on the field. How they go about prospecting, how they go about meeting, communicating, connecting. In one sense, it's allowed for incredible scale, incredible reach. So many of those that are really adept at the social technology side are having enormous sales and enormous followers. But you also talk about the importance of fundamentals. As someone that's been in the field, that's been at corporate, especially during this change to where we're more and more technology driven, how do we balance those kind of real life, face-to-face interactions and relationship development with the scale and reach and speed that comes with technology?
I mean, I think it's a both and mindset, right? It's you're going to embrace both technology and master the fundamentals because, you look at, I'm going to use sports because, we all know what sports are. We can relate it to music if you want, right? You look at a concert today, a music today, the technology they have to produce music today is completely different than it was back in the day. But at the end of the day, you still got to strum the guitar. You still got to play the piano. You still got to get in the mic and sing, right? You still got to beat the drums. In baseball, you got analytics with launch angle and exit velo and spin rate and all these different things, right? But at the end of the day, there's a white baseball, right? You got to throw it. You got to catch it. You got to field it. You got to hit it. And then you run around bases. It's the basics, right? But what you can do is you can parlay technology with the fundamentals, right? And what I see happening right now is you see companies relying too much on technology, right? And that's not a winning proposition. And then you see some companies that are just ancient and they're not willing to embrace technology. Well, that's not going to work either. And so you got to find this healthy balance that fits you and your culture. And you have to understand that technology is going to change every day. I mean, there's not a company in business today that will be in business tomorrow or in the days to come that isn't an IT company. We're all an IT company to some degree, all of us.
Absolutely.
And if you don't believe that, and listen to me, I hate IT. Okay. So, and hate not like in a derogatory way. So it's like, I don't want to deal with IT. Like, I don't go sit in our IT meetings, and so, but I love IT because it's what enables you to have a great customer experience. It's what allows you to create a great onboarding process for your reps. It's what allows you to create duplication in 2022 and beyond, right? It allows you to have this podcast Zoom taking place right now, right? You have to embrace it and you have to grow with it because IT technology is going to grow, right? It's going to grow. And you have to understand that and embrace that. And you got to stop being the person that's still on MySpace. And so I just think it's important you either realize business is going to change with or without you. And if you want to stay in business, you better embrace technology.
Absolutely. You said that we're all tech companies, and I think we're also e-commerce companies, all of us.
Yeah.
If you look at the volume and the revenue that comes through direct selling in the billions, and I don't think we treat ourselves or consider that we are e-commerce companies and put enough effort into our e-commerce experiences, something that we can all do a lot better. And I think you also touched on tech as it relates to the field and how they're using it. In talking to some of the distributors that are out there right now, it seemed like they're using tech really higher at the funnel. Like if you consider audiences and temperature, cold, warm, hot, going from top to bottom in a marketing funnel, those that are at the top of the funnel are colder, meaning they've had less interaction. They're using tech and reach to really broaden that funnel and use it for prospecting. And as they start moving people, as the temperature warms and becomes hot, that's where the personal aspect comes in, that they're kind of casting a much wider net thanks to technology. But they know the importance of using the personal aspect as these relationships get deeper, as their interest and involvement in the opportunity or with the products gets deeper. And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. Again, is use tech to cast the wider net, but you absolutely have to have these personal relationships to really retain and deepen the relationship. Again, not just emotionally, but financially, I think, as well, with these customers and distributors.
Or yes, and build relationships from what tech provides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting leads through technology, they don't know you, you don't know them. But to master the fundamentals of building a relationship with somebody allows that person to go from a cold lead to a warm lead. I know that's what you're kind of referencing.
Sure.
Right? It allows you to, it's the same concept as if you meet somebody randomly in an airport, right? You're sitting there waiting to get on the plane, right? You don't know them from Adam, but you get a conversation, you learn people skills, you build a relationship, you find common ground, boom, now they're a warm market lead, you change numbers, right? And so it's the same concept, but technology can help you reach people without you ever leaving your house, right? Technology can help you reach people that you would never, ever meet in an airport, right? And so I just think it's really, really important that everybody understands that, embraces that, and benefits from that. Why not?
One of the things that you also talk a lot about is the importance and the power of vision, not just for individuals, but for companies as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you not only created the vision there at IDLife, but also how you cast and communicate that to the employees in the field?
Too many people live visionless lives. They allow the world to implant visions in their brain that they should have never had in their brain. What separates them is the way they can control their vision for their lives, their outlook for their lives, and then ultimately how they can cascade that vision to the people that's been entrusted within them, right? And so I have a little checklist I do with our folks. I'll call it your outlook leads to your output, right? And so the checklist we do every day is we do a daily outlook checkup. So the first thing in the morning is you're gonna do a daily outlook checkup to get your brain right. The second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna do an outlook workout. You're gonna do something to grow your outlook, your outlook muscles, right? As John Gordon, who's a great author, talks about your positivity muscles. Well, I use your outlook muscles. You got to grow your outlook muscles. You got to control your outlook, right? And then the third thing we do is we create outlook accountability, right? You got to have somebody in your life that can hold you accountable when your outlook's not right, when your body language is off, when the way you're communicating and all that, when that's off, you need to have accountability in life. I call it a truth teller. Championship teams allow truth tellers into their lives. Championship individuals allow truth tellers into your lives. Truth tellers are going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. The majority of people would rather be showered by praise that'll kill them versus constructive feedback that'll set them free. And so then the fourth thing is we want to encourage people to be an outlook influencer. Be an outlook influencer, right? So you're going to do an outlook checkup. You're going to do outlook workout. You're going to have outlook accountability. Then ultimately, you're going to go be an outlook influencer. And when you get enough outlook influencers in your community, in your tribe, it just, man, it's like a ripple effect. And so no matter what's going on in the world, you've created this movement of people that are viewing the world in a positive way.
I love the 4 steps that you gave there. And one of the things that I took away from that was the daily checkup. I don't think I often think about vision, think about my outlook on a daily basis. Yes, you might read something, listen to a podcast that might make you consider or reflect on it. But I love the idea of every day, that cadence of sitting down and making sure that your outlook is right, that it's in line with the vision that you have.
When you feed your mind the right things, it literally inspires you to do the very things you may not ordinarily even want to do. And that's how you can control your outlook. It sounds so simple, and it is. Yet most people don't do it because it's simple, right? They'll sit there and scroll social media all day long, right? They'll watch a squirrel riding her skateboard, Shamu jumping over a jet ski, right? But they won't watch or read something that can literally change their life. I just think it's critically important that you realize that, John Maxwell says it best. We're a byproduct of our daily routine. And I just believe that successful people do daily what everyone else does occasionally. And so for me, every morning of my life, even when I don't feel like it, I do an outlook check first thing in the morning. Every single day, it's what I do. And listen, that doesn't mean I'm going to have a great day every day. Okay. Some days we're human. But you know what it does? It helps you pick yourself back up the next day. And
it gives you the right perspective to approach your entire day.
Exactly.
I want to shift into the last portion here. You've been super generous with your time. I love your book, Grit Factor, and it outlines different attributes to do life better. Awesome book. Everybody should go check it out. I want to try doing a little bit of a lightning round with a few questions for all of us in direct selling, all of us as corporate individuals, things that we can do better. So are you game to do a little bit of a lightning round?
Of course, I'll do whatever.
Okay.
And by the way, anybody listening to this, if I can add value, just connect with me. All my social media stuff's at loganstout.com. And my website is myname.com. So I want to say that because I always forget to say that on these podcasts. And then, I'm like, man, if I could answer a question, I'm happy to do it. So with that, let's get into this lightning round.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I don't know what you're going to ask me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, nothing too deep, but definitely they'll all be very important. Yeah. So considering things that we can do better, different attributes or approaches that we can take. Obviously, personalization, we talked about that, is so important to who you are. What can a company that doesn't have that level of technology, that doesn't have the same decision engine, what can a regular, average direct selling company do to bring more personalization and do that better for their customers and distributors?
Value at the uniqueness in every person, right? Value what they want their customer journey to be. Value what they want their independent associate rep IBO journey to be. Value what your employee wants to have out of their relationship with your company, right? Value, just people will give you their best if you see the best in them. That would be my encouragement to you. The customers will become a great customer if you see what's great about them being your customer. And that may sound simple, but it's not, right? And so find ways where people can have a unique experience with you as a customer, as an independent rep, as an employee. And if you'll do that and focus on that, I think you'll find you'll increase retention, increase brand loyalty, and ultimately drive a lot more revenue.
Wow, I love that. What can we do better to support the field?
You can't lead from a distance. You can't lead from a distance, not nearly as well as you can in person. And so I would encourage you, use technology, find ways to connect via Zoom and all this stuff. But the biggest thing I would encourage you to do is find a way to see them face to face. There's a reason why you can watch your favorite musician on YouTube or some, whatever these stations are, Vimeo, whatever. You can watch their whole concert. But if they're coming in town, I'm buying tickets. I'm buying the best ticket I can. I'm going to spend crazy money on everything I buy at that concert, right? Food, drinks, whatever it is. Like I may drive an hour to go to that concert. People show us every day that they value community, right? Sporting events are packed. Concerts are packed. You can watch the game in your pajamas from your couch for free, right? Versus spending $200 on a ticket, $80 on a beer, and $50 on nachos. I'm joking, but I'm not. And so the way you can best love on your reps is to be present for them. Be present for them. Again, it sounds simple, and it is. Get in the car and go see them. Be present. And so, again, I could keep going in depth on that, but we all know in this industry, the right person can explode your company. The right person, right. The right person that buys into your vision can explode your company. So never undervalue what one person can do for your movement, for your company.
I love that. So how can we be better leaders and mentors to those inside the company, to those in the corporate world?
In the corporate office?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. Don't view them as an employee. I view every one of our folks as a teammate. So we do a town hall where we come in and we recognize, celebrate our employees. Every time I can, I'm at the office. I try to walk through our distribution facility, because we have a huge distribution facility. So we try to go through there, high five people, and authentically. It's not some rah-rah deal. It's like, how are you doing? Great to see you again. How are the kids? Like, just get to know these people, because they're the ones packing the parachutes every day, so your field reps can win out in the marketplace.
Love that. So how can we be better at balancing our responsibilities at work with also our responsibilities at home, being a better parent, being a better partner? We went through a very similar experience that you and your wife did. That's how we ended up with twins as well. They just turned 6 last Friday. And I remember with our oldest, I probably, I traveled too much, probably worked maybe a little bit too late. And I remember with how many years it took for us to really get the twins, vowing that I wouldn't really do that again. So I'm really curious how we can, better balance, maybe integrate is the right word, but those responsibilities at work and also at home.
Well, here's the bottom line. Where your attention goes, right, your energy flows. And if you're not giving attention to the people that matter the most to you, it doesn't matter what you do in business. When you're on your deathbed, this is a morbid topic, literally and figuratively, you're not going to wish you did another email. You're not going to wish you did another Zoom. What we are going to wish is that you were there for your child's recital, your child's game, right? That you took your spouse on a date night. I mean, that you can't go conquer the world when you have World War III going inside the four walls of your home. And we're all guilty of this as people that want to be high achievers and make things happen. And here's the simplest thing I tell myself. Make sure those that mean the most to you get the best of you and not what's left of you. And so you're going to have to guard your schedule. I pick my kids up every day from school at 3, every day, 3:00, period. I'm at their games, right? In fact, the only time I've missed one of their games was we had our national conference. They had games on Saturday and I missed them. I was on stage speaking while they were playing. But even then, there's ways we can watch on video, shoot them a video message, write them a note. There's things we can do. And so some of you, your work schedule, you can't pick them up at 3. You have to be at the office every day. No problem. Write them a note. These kids, I'm telling you, I know I'm talking about kids right now. A big issue in our world today are children without parents, and not because they don't have parents. Life is so busy. Life is stressful. Life is harder today than ever before. It's not simple like it used to be. You're not having dinner at the table every night with your family typically, right? There's so many distractions going on. Kids are exhausted from the youth sporting events going on in today's world, right? And so you got to be intentional about what you truly value in life. And sometimes you have to go to the end and work backwards. And my question to you would be, if you were on your deathbed and you could go back and look back at your life, what would you do differently?
I love the idea of kind of going to the end and look backwards and then fixing things. I'm a big reader and fan of Stoicism, and there's a practice called memento mori, which is that practice of contemplating your death. Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome at the time, the most powerful person in the world, he said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and think and say. And I think if we all took that approach and look back, we would definitely prioritize things in life much differently. I love that we get together and talk about all the important strategies and tactics and changes and opportunities we have in the channel. I also think it's important to look at the personal side as well from time to time, and you really helped us do that. So thank you, Logan. This has been amazing. Thank you for being so generous with your time. Thank you for being the leader and mentor you are to so many in and outside of the channel. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Appreciate it.
Brother, thank you, man. Anything I can do for anybody, just please let me know.
Yes, and go check out the books. Again, go reach out. Give us your email or where they can connect with you again, please.
Yeah, if you just go to loganstout.com, LOGANSTOUT.com, you can email me there, info@loganstout.com. All my social media is there. Direct message me on social, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. But I would love to connect. Any value I can do for you, your companies, whatever, happy to help. That's what ultimately we're all here for.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on Direct Approach. Appreciate it, Logan.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for tuning in. Since 2004, DSN has proudly served the direct selling industry and the executives that lead it. Our mission is to serve, educate, and edify the channel as your go-to daily resource for breaking global news, emerging trends, and powerful stories so you can stay informed, engaged, and always one step ahead as it relates to the business of direct selling. We invite you to subscribe to the podcast so that you are the first to know when new episodes are available. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.